The president is mixing official and personal business at Trump golf courses in Scotland. I want to bring in CNN's chief national affairs correspondent, Jeff Zeleny, who's traveling with the president in Scotland. So, Jeff, what are we expecting from Trump's meeting with European Union's leader today, and what's been the reception so far from the Scottish people?
Good morning, Monty. President Trump is back on the golf course here in Scotland this morning at Turnberry. He'll be playing golf for a couple hours before he is heading into a very important and critical meeting with the chief of the European Commission. Of course, there is a deadline looming on tariffs for next Friday. The president has set a deadline for if there's not an agreement brokered, there could be a 30% across the board sweeping a tariff that would really spark a trade war, a transatlantic trade war. So the president is going to be meeting with Ursula von der Leyen in just a couple hours to try and negotiate some type of an agreement. Now, what officials are telling us is that they believe a leading possibility is cutting that in half, a 15% across the board levy. Certainly that would end some of the uncertainty that really has been going through European businesses. Of course, America is the biggest trading partner of the European Union. The two have had a frosty relationship in the past, but the president, when he arrived here in Scotland, seemed to signal optimism.
Ursula will be here, highly respected woman, so we look forward to that. In terms of a deal, we're meeting with the European Union, and that would be actually the biggest deal of them all if we make it.
So we will see if a deal comes together. Of course, this is just one in a series of the on-again, off-again trade war that really has been a through line of the Trump administration. I'm told the Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and the U.S. Trade Representative have flown here over the weekend. They will be joining these meetings as well. So that is the working part of this trip. But there's plenty private vacation part as well, and that is the golfing that was underway all day yesterday. And that is the real purpose of this trip. The president coming here to Scotland to view his golf courses and open a new golf course that's named after his mother. Of course, she is from Scotland, so he has expressed a fondness for this country. Of course, he's visited many times before. But yesterday, protests also broke out, not to the extent of the 2018 protests. We saw thousands of people in the streets during his first term as president, but there were significant protests here in Edinburgh and elsewhere. And talking to many demonstrators, they are concerned about the president's foreign policy as well as his stance on democracy. So certainly not a warm welcome from Scots here, but the president is largely ensconced from all of this, playing golf and then having a meeting today with the EU chief and meeting tomorrow with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer.
All right, Jeff Zeleny live for us in Scotland. Thank you so much. And let's break this all down with my excellent panel this morning. Politico's Joshua Burns, Jasmine Wright from Notice, CNN's Isaac Dover, and the Wall Street Journal's Molly Ball. Nice to see you all. Trump overseas. Look, this is been a tumultuous second term, to say the least. This has probably been one of the most tumultuous periods of his second term, not just with Epstein, but also these crises overseas. In Gaza, the starvation crisis in Gaza doesn't seem to be getting any better. This is obviously a difficult period for the president.
Indeed, although he seems like he's having a great time over there, which is say. But I think it is a reminder that, he has left the domestic chaos behind to some degree. And to a remarkable extent, we did see the Epstein scandal start to sort of consume Washington and the administration. But it's a reminder that there are just as many crises facing him overseas as well, whether you're talking about all of these trade deals that have yet to be made with the deadline looming, whether you're talking about the international crises that he promised to resolve pretty much instantaneously, which are not only ongoing, but seem to be getting worse. Certainly in the case of what's happening in Gaza, it's a stark reminder that that conflict is very far from being resolved, despite Trump's promises. So I think all of this is a looming sort of cumulative political problem.
Yeah, and it adds up, right? It adds up to how he's perceived among the American public, among his voters. And a striking poll from this past week was the Gallup poll talking about how he is viewed now among
Hello everyone, today we are dropping off the 2020 Audi RS6 launch edition to the lucky winner, Ben Dawson.
Now among voters, a significant drop among independents from January, 17-point drop from 46% approval to 29%. And it's been somewhat consistent with other polling as well. Joshua, you cover the White House. How concerned is the White House about all these different problems adding up for the president?
Well, the White House is really frustrated right now, and President Trump in particular has been furious, as some sources have described it to me, because of this Epstein scandal, that they just have never been in this position where the president cannot change the subject on something. He's so good at wielding the media, at spinning the narrative, and that's just not working right now. At the same time, this is a moment where they really thought that they would be doing a victory lap. 6 months in, they've gotten their agenda passed through Congress. He's making these deals, but a lot of those promises that he made, to your point, Molly, they have not been fulfilled. And he's got these two strong men in Putin and in Bibi, guys that he thought that he had great relationships with, that he could wheel and deal with, and that is not working. Those two are massive crises that have his base split, by the way. You're seeing some folks get frustrated with his seemingly unconditional support of Bibi Netanyahu and what he's doing in Gaza, and frustration with getting further involved with Ukraine. Some are championing it, like Lindsey Graham, others are not. So his base is not on the same page on a number of issues. Of course, Epstein has been looming over all of it, but that's just one element of a number of cracks that have formed over the last 6 months.
And that's why he's trying to do things to get the base back in line. You mentioned some of the things he's trying to do to change the narrative on this. We saw just over the past day on his Truth Social post. You were going to get a sense of what Trump is thinking. Just look at his Truth Social post. Of course, this is Barack Obama in the O.J. White van escaping the LAPD. Trump has been basically accusing Obama of committing crimes and suggesting that he and others should be prosecuted. Even saying that in another post yesterday, that Beyonce, Oprah, Al Sharpton, Kamala Harris, among others, they should all be prosecuted.
Not Beyonce. No, let's not go to Beyonce. Come on. She's in Vegas right now. We're all excited.
I know, the last night of her tour, my God. Listen, this is just food for the base. These are the greatest hits that the president can play. The normal people that he can be derogatory towards, that his base will pick up, particularly in a moment where you're right, there is that split, there is that tension. I was talking to one White House official last week, and he was complaining that we continue to say that this is a distraction, or that the president is trying to distract, but the reality is that Donald Trump does not want to talk about Epstein. That was very clear when he left the U.S. on Friday, when he was continuously asked by the press, both when he left the White House, when he got to JBA, and when he got to Scotland, whether or not he's considering a partner for Ghislaine Maxwell. He said, I'm not even thinking about that. I'm allowed to do that, but you should be talking about Bill Clinton. You should be talking about all these other people who are not me. And so the White House is consistently facing this kind of breakdown with their base. It's unclear how far it goes and how long they will ride with the White House as they kind of try to move the ball a little bit with Epstein.
If he wants, he can close the door on the Epstein saga for doing a lot of different things. But on the Ghislaine Maxwell piece of it all, why not just say there's no way I would pardon?
Yeah.
He could say a lot of things. Like all of these meetings also, including having his former criminal defense attorney, who's now the deputy attorney general, meet with Maxwell. That could have happened 6 months ago. It's only happening now because of the pressure that he feels on this, as is the case for everything else going on. I talked to somebody close to Bill Clinton the other night when there was the revelation in the Wall Street Journal about the birthday greeting that Clinton had sent, and the person said, listen, Clinton had broken off his relationship with Epstein long before, but has called for a release of all the materials. That's what Donald Trump used to be doing. That's what J.D. Vance used to be doing. Cash Kelly used to be doing. Now that they're all in power, they are not releasing all of it. And in fact, what they're doing is dragging out this process more and more and more.
And the polls also bear out that this is actually something that Democrats, Republicans, and independents agree with in terms of should there be more information released. This question about has the government been open and transparent about the Epstein case? 67% of the public say the government is not transparent about Epstein, and that includes 60% of Republicans. This is rare. You usually don't see that when it comes to Trump.
And that's why this story continues to have legs. It's not just coming from a few influencers. It's not just coming from the media. It has really penetrated into pop culture in a way that we don't often see with Washington scandals.
So how do Republicans also feel about the way the president has handled this issue on Capitol Hill? Should he do more to get ahead of the story? What do you think about the way that the White House has handled this Epstein matter, this sort of drip, rather than putting everything out?
I don't know. I'm kind of a rip the Band-Aid off sort of guy myself.
Do you think the appearance is that they're not releasing it because his name is on there? Are you worried about that appearance?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's the risk you run doing what they're doing, but I don't know everything that they may know.
Release all the Epstein stuff.
You think all of it? Justice Department should.
Release stuff. I want to protect victims, but be as transparent as you can with Epstein.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, rip the Band-Aid off. I mean, they want to get over this hump. They want to stop talking about Epstein. They want the White House to release what they have and the DOJ to release what they have and move forward. The problem is that the DOJ has effectively stayed on this kind of drip environment. We're obviously hearing periodic updates about the conversations with Maxwell. We're hearing periodic updates about whether or not there's an ongoing investigation to see if there should be more documents released. And so unless they do a full-scale transparency release, you're going to continue to see update after update after update, keeping this in the media.
Yeah, no question about it.
With you.